769, 1075, 769. Bias Wilson Avenue and Bleecker Street. Battle 1, Florida, Brooklyn. Looking to a 3-3 battalion. Looking to a 3-3. Looking at 124 truck. 124, we had a 1092 with that box. We're available for the all. Go ahead, 124, take it. Moving in, please. On your standby. 124, take it. Moving to the 1075.
Here is one of New York's bravest, Joseph Bonanno, the author of this book, The Firehouse Grilling Cookbook.
Joe Bonanno is back, and he has brought another book and some other wonderful recipes. Joe is on duty every night at Ladder Company 152 in Queens, New York, and he cooks dinner for his colleagues, family style.
No one has to be able to eat and run like a firefighter, but a fast-paced life is no reason not to eat healthy. So now there's the Healthy Firehouse Cookbook.
Firefighter George Stout is a 23-year veteran of the Blue Point Fire Department. George is going to make his famous Blue Point Fire Department clam chowder. Thank you, George, for coming in today and inviting us into your firehouse kitchen.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure doing it.
I was clamming this morning and I brought a bunch of clams for you in token appreciation for having us in your kitchen to make your clam chowder from Rob Hook.
Got them right here.
Okay. Let me ask you a little bit about your service to the Blue Point Fire Department. 23 years?
Yes, I served in engine company for approximately 2 months and transferred to Ladder Rescue Company because I have a healthy respect for heights. I was one of the few people that were able to climb up to the 100-foot ladder that we owned at the time. Been involved with Ladder Company since joining.
Now, is that a tower ladder or an aerial?
It was a tower ladder at the time.
And I understand you also made lieutenant.
I had made lieutenant 6 years ago and didn't really want to bother to go for captain. It was enough.
Now, do you, I mean, traditionally in New York, because we have to actually be in the firehouse, and this is a volunteer firehouse where they respond from the local area, do you actually have a sit-down meal here like we did in New York City?
We have a monthly meeting that we provide a soup to nuts meal for that is paid for by the members. It's usually the first Monday of the month, and we do everything from pork loin to baked ziti, sausage, peppers.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the recipe here. I brought you some fresh clams from out on the bay, and this is a Manhattan-style clam chowder or New England?
It's more of a Rhode Island style chowder. It's not as tomatoey as your classic Manhattan.
Okay, so we're not using like a white cream base type of thing.
No.
Let's start cooking here. I notice you have some bacon. We gotta get that on the...
Bacon is first. We saute the bacon.
Okay. Just regular bacon, nothing special, no prosciutto, anything like that. Just regular bacon. Okay.
I've tried it, but regular good old maple smoked bacon.
Maple smoked bacon. Okay. Now you're gonna render that down to, do you want it really crisp or just starting to render?
We try to get it down to where it's crispy, because then once we add all the liquids to it, it rehydrates and it almost disappears. But we're trying to get as much of the flavor of the bacon out of it and into the rest of the chowder. At the same time we do that, I'm going to put your clams into the...
Now you're putting them open. Okay, you're steaming them open. Okay, I see. Now are you going to reserve some of the juice from that?
Absolutely.
All of it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what's your next thing we got going on here?
At this point, next item we're going to put in is going to be the onions, about a handful, to caramelize them and bring out a little bit more of the flavor, balance out that saltiness and smokiness.
Okay, why don't you go for that? I notice you're practicing good culinary techniques by using rubber gloves. I'll be handing you the dry ingredients, so I don't need the gloves on.
It's one of the things that Suffolk County requires.
Right, the food safety certificate.
Food manager certificate. I've had it now for 12 years, and I'd like to keep it.
Okay.
Next item that we're going to put in here to help deglaze the bottom of the pot will be the clam juice.
The clam juice. That'll be this here?
Right.
Okay. Now, is that canned clam juice?
It's a combination of both.
Okay, and you want the second one too, right? Okay, so you got regular canned, and then you have the fresh.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I like fresh ingredients too. If you're really going to make it taste good, you really got to use the canned stuff. I mean, it's convenient.
Absolutely.
But, yep.
Absolutely.
And
fresh is always better.
Now, what do you have after that? Now, are you turning the heat up now?
I have to.
Okay, now that you have all the liquid in, right?
This basically has to come up to a boil.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything else is not going to be rendered.
Okay.
Or I think the correct term is marinade.
Okay.
all the flavors won't
Or marry.
mix.
They say marry all the
Marry,
flavors,
yeah.
right? That's what they use. Now,
So-
what do we have next?
What we'll do next is the root vegetables,
Right,
because
the
they
meal-
take the
yep,
longest
I knew that.
to
Yep,
cook.
Yep. Just off and down. So in any
The next item is going to be the carrots.
carrots, yes, they take a long time to render down, right?
So, give that a quick stir. Now, normally, what we do is we wait for the juices to come to a boil. It helps saturate and rehydrate and break down the carrots.
Right, because I know they take a long time. Like you said, the root
Yes.
vegetable, like a mirepoix.
Exactly.
That's a fancy word for
The
you,
holy,
mirepoix.
the
You know,
holy trinity.
you know that, huh?
Yes.
You know mirepoix. Very good. Okay. And now your celery?
Celery.
Yes, okay.
Next time we're going to start adding all the dry ingredients. So I need the bay leaves.
Okay, bay leaves.
And we don't put them all in, because otherwise it'll be a little overpowering. Basically, the bay leaves are a very aromatic herb. If you put them in, it's good to put them in early, because the aromatic oils are released over time. So the longer you leave it in, the more flavorful.
Yeah, that's what I generally
it's
do.
gonna
Dried
be.
ingredients first.
Next item we're going to put in is the thyme.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we put the whole amount of the thyme in there. And then we go for the garlic, both the granulated and the chopped. Then the clams.
Okay, you want the chop?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, go for the whole thing.
Yeah, just
Put
dump it all in.
gradually.
There it
Go
is.
Gradually, and you get a face full of clams.
Always. We're going to give that a stir. We're going to do the ground pepper. The last of the small items will be the tarragon. Now, tarragon is an extremely powerful herb. So even though the quantity is small, it's going to release a lot of the flavor. You don't want it overpowering.
Right, right.
So, parsley is added after we put the tomatoes in.
Oh, so you're using dried, not fresh parsley?
Absolutely. Fresh parsley has a tendency to break down.
Okay, especially if it's soup so long.
Yeah.
Okay.
This will take a long time to go. Wet stuff will be the remainder of the onions.
Okay. Earlier, these sauteed ones were on. Okay.
Yes.
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
Terrific. Okay.
So,
now you got what? Give me that. Now, why don't you get the rest of those ingredients in?
the rest of the ingredients are sweet pickled peppers, just about that much.
Okay. And a shredded apple, I believe you used.
This is shredded sweet apple. It cuts the acidity of the tomato sauce, or the crushed tomatoes that we use in here. And we give that a quick stir.
Now you go and crush tomatoes next?
That will be next. And this will end up being the last of the wet ingredients. And over time you'll see this start to turn color. It gets to a nice rosy red instead of a deep red like a
Now,
standard.
again, you're bringing that up to a boil first and then down to a simmer.
Correct. And last but not least will be the parsley. The parsley goes in.
So now you're up to full temperature now, right?
That's correct.
A boil and then down to a simmer. And how long do you simmer for?
Normally it takes about an hour
Okay.
to an hour and a half. We want it to go down to where if you can see this, there are the shredded apples in there. It dissolves into it, disappears, everything turns to a nice sweet texture, and we get a very nice product at the end. Very last thing we're going to add are those wonderful clams that you brought to us this afternoon.
Already slice and dice.
Excellent. So we're going to just take these last few clams out of here.
Now they're going to get chopped
Yes.
and
Diced
back
up,
in. So you cook
thrown
them in
into the pot. Add a couple of bay leaves, save the juice, which is then added to the chowder, which we did before.
Okay.
These cool down enough now that we can take them out. And I'll dice these guys up.
And they get diced up. Okay, because that's coming up to a boil.
Oh, it's coming up nice.
While that's simmering, George, why don't you step back? It's my turn.
No problem. It's all yours.
What we're going to make here today is a basic linguine with white clam sauce. Nothing out of the ordinary. As you know, as a firefighter, especially a busy place, in and out, we got to keep it kind of simple. First ingredient we're going to use, I have our pan on simmer here, is basic olive oil.
Olive oil.
Okay.
So you say you were a New York City fireman.
Yes, I did 21 years with the fire department of the city of New York.
Any particular house?
Yes, I did most of my career in Ladder 129 in Flushing, Queens. I did a little bit of time in Ladder 5 in Lower Manhattan. And I actually worked in Brooklyn for a little while in Engine 236.
Do any cooking there? Or
Absolutely.
all the time? Yeah.
Well, actually in the beginning when I first started, you know what, you can hear me go out too. Actually when I first started, I really didn't, because you know you're a probationary fireman and you kind of sit back a little bit and let everybody else do the cooking. But you know what wound up happening is a lot of the firefighters I was working with were doing the, you know, 4 sticks of butter.
All the good healthy stuff.
Yeah, 4 sticks of butter for eight guys and mashed potatoes. The mushrooms too, that'll help cool the pan down. I know you didn't use mushrooms normally in a linguine dish, but I like them because they pull a lot of flavor in. So now we're going to read the rest of the ingredients, which is the chopped clams from our clammer. Okay. Then we can actually bring the temperature up a little bit because that'll cool it down a little bit. Toss them. And then generally I like to put the parsley in now, which is fresh, not dried. And now we have some Marsala wine. And I generally don't like to add it into the middle because it could steam and burn your hand. Add it at the edge and let it kind of slide in. If you put it in over here, it might steam, burn your hand, and you drop your cup into the... Okay.
There's a little more texture.
To your skin or to the dish?
They're both.
And then the last 2 ingredients are going to be a little bit of salt.
Because you've got a lot of the salt from the clams and the clam juice that's there?
Well, you know what? If I was going to use canned clams, I don't think I'd use any salt at all.
No.
But if we're using fresh, they're not as salty, especially if you drain them a little bit. If you're going to use salt, just a pinch. And we just saute that, which is that fancy thing there to kind of mix it up. Now the last step I like to do is just take it right out of the pot like this with some of the starchy water on it and put it in just like that. Using some of the water, and then continue to cook it to actually kind of boil off and reduce some of that starchy water. I mean, you can drain it.
Starchy water will help thicken it.
Thicken it, right? There's a little starch in the pasta. It almost acts like a flour or a roux to kind of thicken it. Yeah. And then you don't want to lay it on just on the top. You know, you want to just pull it like this. And what you're looking to do is pull some of the clam and the clam juice into it and the parsley.
Are you going to do the toss again?
All right. If you want me to do the toss, I'll do the toss. All right. Yeah, you can do like that if you want. Do that, but do that, and it'll get mixed up perfectly, right?
Perfect.
Almost like I had my own cooking show.
Almost.
You would think that if you pull a lot of the pasta out with the water on it, that it would be too much water in it, but look, you can see you have just the right amount.
So most of the water is going to be absorbed by the mushrooms and the rest of the pasta while it continues to cook?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I added the mushrooms, because it pulls a lot of that flavor, both the clam broth and the pasta.
Right.
Okay, George, why don't you clean our station there, and I think you have a tray below there. We have a nice, pretty tray. We'll pretty this thing up for plating.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, and then we just serve right from the... Okay, just like that. Okay. Yep.
I think the chowder is done.
Yeah, get a couple of ladles of your clam chowder. I'll grab you a ladle. There you go. Oh, you got one. Okay, great.
Oh,
a big one,
right
too.
on top.
A
Right
big
on
one,
top.
too. Okay. All right. Yeah, just a little Parmesan over the top. You don't want to overpower it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that smells great. Do you generally serve in stainless steel bowls, or do you get some?
No, it's only for you.
You know, we have an honorary patch wall in Firehouse Kitchen, and we've been putting patches up for many firefighters that give us recipes. I understand you have a patch for us?
Yes. I'd like to present you with a patch from the Blue Point Fire Department.
Yeah, thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
It's going to have a place of honor.
Appreciate your
So
coming.
now here you have a great clam chowder and linguine clam sauce.
Can't wait.
Okay. Okay, let's taste George's famous Blue Point Fire Department clam chowder.
Thank you.
You're welcome, George. That's for me. Wow, that's really terrific.
Well, thank
Now,
you very much.
Do you make this for the fire department or at home? I mean,
I make this once a year, very large quantity, 100 to 140 quarts, for our annual chicken barbecue, which we have in July.
I'd like to thank you, George, for your service to the Blue Point and Patchogue communities. Just as important, I'd like to thank you for this really great recipe. If you'd like more information about this recipe and our guests, please visit our website And join us next time on
Firehouse Kitchen.
Okay, why don't we taste this linguine and clams? So let's see what we got.
We got enough room?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll just try to...
Wait, let me slobber this all over my face.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of American Firehouse Cuisine. If you would like to order a personally signed copy of the Healthy Firehouse Cookbook or the Firehouse Grilling Cookbook, please visit the website at www.thehealthyfirehouse.com. My new children's book, Manutza, the Firefighting Elephant, is now also available in print or ebook format on the website. Producers or network associates interested in continuing or expanding American Firehouse Cuisine, please contact us through the website.
75, 769, 1075, 769.